Very good evening, everyone. We are delighted to have you all here. And it's going to be an exciting session today filled with insights, knowledge. And so, to keep you engaged, keep your questions ready in the chat box. You can just, at any point of time, you feel like asking any question, you can just type in the chat box, and our backend team will pick your questions and we'll try to cover it all at the end. So let's welcome our guest for the evening, Mr. Karan Agarwal, and he's currently working as the Director of Engineering for CRM, AI, and platform teams at HighLevel. So welcome, Karan.
Hey everyone, hi Divya. Thanks for having me here. Very delighted to be present among everyone.
Great. So, before we start with the agenda for the people who have joined our session for the first time, I would like to introduce you guys to our remote revolution series. So, at Uplers, our mission is to streamline the hiring process, making it reliable, easy, and fast. And therefore, Remote Revolution is an initiative wherein we invite speakers from top-notch companies like Twilio, GitLab, Atlassian, BrowserStack, and many more to share their insights on how these remote companies hire, their process, culture, values, interview tips, and remote readiness traits required by global brands. Our mission behind this initiative is to upskill you guys to get a remote job in a top company. So, moving forward to the session agenda, Karan will take us through his journey. He'll share insights into his role, talk about unique culture at HighLevel, experience working with a remote team. Following that, he will talk about the intricate hiring process at HighLevel, and we will also learn the key qualities required to succeed in a remote position at HighLevel or any company. So to begin with, I would request Karan to share his career journey and his role at HighLevel.
Awesome. Thanks. So, hey everyone, good evening. And to start off with my journey, professional journey. So it started in college in second year when I started building my own company and a startup. And that was Writen. It's still active, writen.com. And it was a blogging platform for people in vernacular languages. And it allowed you recommendations and discovery of content. And over time, I think by the end of the college, we were able to scale it to 150,000 users and monthly active users. And I think today it's almost at the same place. But after college, I continued to work on it for a year almost. And then I worked at another place, another startup in the US, very early stage, for some time. And then I ended up joining HighLevel. And with HighLevel, it's been 4 years. And I joined as a team lead, and currently I'm leading a team of around 65 people as the director of engineering. And I'm leading three departments: CRM, AI, and platform. Platform is the horizontal stack that basically helps all the product engineering teams. CRM is basically the bread and butter of our business, where you have contacts, opportunities, the marketplace applications, users, notifications. And then AI is a new division. In general, AI in the SaaS industry is growing by a lot. So at HighLevel also, we're trying to make sure that we launch a lot of products, and then we add the generative AI productivity gains to the users for all of our products. And yeah, also I think this slide also mentions about Google Cloud Next. Yeah, this year Cloud Next was in Vegas. I was a speaker over there along with the Firestore team, specifically from Google Cloud. And my session was around how to build a AI marketing platform using the Firestore database.
That's really amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And we are really excited to have your insights and expertise with us. So, moving on to the next slide. Many of us struggle with job application and landing the right roles. It's common to face rejection or silence even after applying to numerous companies. From your experience, what critical aspects should candidate focus on during their job search? Could you share some specific tips or strategies to help our audience enhance their chances of success?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we can go to the first one. Yeah. So I think before we start with the structured, presentation, I would also like to cover there are a few key things that are needed. So, and just to give you the high-level story, we are a remote organization. In India, we're around 600 people plus. Overall, globally, we're 1,000 people plus. And the story I think started in 2019. And just before COVID, I think 2019, early Feb ish, and then COVID hit, and then so most of the hiring happened during that time. So eventually, like the organization, the DNA was set to remote, and now we have 600 people. Fast forward to today, and all of them are remote. So obviously, we're not in a place to now go back to the office type of setup. And there's been multiple companies that way. And some people say that the remote culture in general doesn't work, and we disagree. We have been able to become profitable. We have always been profitable. So I think become is the wrong word over there. High Level is a company that is bootstrapped and profitable. And we've also continuously grown more than 100% every year. And now, from the last 2 years, on very large revenue basis, we've been able to grow more than 100% every year. So there definitely are companies out there, that are making remote work. It's just about how the company tries to set the culture. And some of the key aspects that are needed to make that remote work possible is the people that are there, they need to be self-driven. Why I think a lot of people want people in office is, the conversation happens, communication happen. I think if you find dedicated people, the world and the internet is usually the source of learning for them. And we try to hire people that are anyway passionate about products and that were anyway building products. And I think that is why I also am a really good fit, because even before I joined High Level, I was anyway trying to build my own company. I was really passionate about it, even when I was not getting paid at all. So I already had that passion for it, the mindset for it, and spending time for it. Joining High Level just gave me a lot of direction as well. So I could do a lot of those things very fast. And I got a platform where I could learn from like-minded people. But I think if this is actually what you love doing, uh, then I think it's really possible to get into it. Uh, and I think then now we'll go through what exactly are the ingredients. The first one is add metrics to every line in your resume. And what do we mean by that? So let's say if you have a resume and if you have, and so I've gone through more than, I think, 1,000 resumes over the course of, I think, last 2 years itself, and then even more before. Now, what needs to be there is that all of them look similar. How do you really stand out? Everyone says that I've worked on CRUD APIs. If you're a developer, if you're a front-end person, you say like, yeah, I built this feature. I think metrics are what makes it different. And to give you a couple of examples, let's say instead of saying I built this in front end, I would say I improved the page speed insight score for React application from 68 to 95. And that is a quantifiable metric that, this one went from this one to from 65 to 95% or 68 to 95%. And that's very quantifiable. And so the person on the other side understands that, yeah, he would have done a lot of work to essentially keep that metric moving. And he always had a focus in mind on what he's trying to achieve. So, he's also very driven that way. Another example could be I built a user application where that is used by, let's say, 150,000 people. What I used to refer in my resumes when I was applying for, High Level and before. So it always used to like talk about numbers. Another one was I ran a database migration, migrating 100 GBs of data in under 2 hours. That actually gives it some more credibility, right? So the thumb rule is if every line in your resume has some number, right? That number could be a percentage, like a page speed score. Yeah. If that number is there, so then it becomes really easy for people to be able to scale, and people on the other side to be able to understand the scale that you have. That's first. Second is know the product. And this again goes back to my days when I was applying for HighLevel. I remember my interview was, and these are, things I'm trying to tell you a anecdote, so it becomes easy to understand. But these things are generally applicable to almost every remote company that you can find, right? And these are general, I think, human behaviors about what really defines passion. And that is if you show up on an interview knowing the other company well, right? That is something that the interviewers love. Wherever I have found such people where I've been interviewing that they already knew about HighLevel, they took that effort to, let's say, spend 4 or 5 hours on a weekend to run down the YouTube videos. And there's a lot of things to research from. There are YouTube videos, there are documentation for the product, there are n number of things. There's our Instagram page, our own YouTube channel, third party affiliate created content. So you have n number of ways to research about the product. But if you do that, so for my interview, I went in with where I knew the product, and I had a list of questions that I had about ki why have we built it this way? And then I had a list of suggestions that these are the 4 or 5 more things that we should build so that this would be really great for HighLevel. And the interviewer, who was our CTO, he loved it, right? And which is, I think, what is, and I didn't do it because, someone told me this is how it's done. I just did it out of passion, right? It was just serendipity at play. I was like, hey, this company is trying to invite me. Let me figure out what they do. They're mentioning they have this much of revenue. And in my startup, I was not able to hit anywhere close to that revenue. So let me figure out what are they trying to do? What does their marketing look like? What does their product look like? What are the things that they're doing right? Right. So I was doing it because of I was actually interested. But this is another great hack. And now I do it because I know this works. If I'm ever going to apply for a company, then I'm again going to try to do the same thing. Unless I know everything about the business, I would not jump on a call with them. Uh, right. So that's another one. Uh, knowing the team that you're applying to and bring ideas to enhance on the product. So I think this is on the same lines. This is on the very same lines that even within HighLevel, you have, if you look at Lever, you have a lot of jobs that are posted for HighLevel, right? If you go through all of them, try to understand what are the different teams, try to find out which team you want to apply to for whatever role is there, because a lot of similar roles that are open across a lot of different teams. Let's say SG3 is open across a lot of different teams. Uh, so you figure out what the team does, you get some edge in terms of understanding what the work that they're already doing, and you bring ideas to enhance the product, right? The specific because I think HighLevel has more than 30 products like internally. So and that is how the internal structure is. So knowing about the company in general, about the success and what type of company you would like to apply to, and about then niching it down to the specific team that you're trying to apply to, and understanding what do they want to do and what do they do right, and what are the things that they're trying to do. That would help you a lot in again standing out, because I go through so many interviews and everyone I have to explain what does HighLevel do, and that takes a significant amount of time. And so definitely when I get a candidate who has done that research, I know for a fact that this is standing out and this is what different is. Four, keep the cultural values in mind. So and whenever you'll talk, you'll see people talking about that company. You'll hear some things, and you'll hear some them say some things. And for high level, the cultural values are there, something that we'll cover in the next slides. But if you know the DNA of that company, then that's another way for you to stand out, right? And because at the end of the interview, you can just add a few lines saying, hey, this is why I want to join the company. Because so, and if you know the company and if you know the cultural values, those are great talking points, which again shows the interviewer that you've paid that effort of of giving your attention to what they're trying to do, and they've been able to capture your attention, and you're actually really interested in what they're trying to do. So I think these are the four things that would help you a lot.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for these amazing insights. And I'm sure everybody would be excited to keep these things in mind before applying to any organization for that matter. So now that we have insight into the key aspects of applying to various companies, it's evident that there are multiple rounds and considerations to manage before pursuing a new role. So let's discuss some other aspects. So as this slides already mentions about high level, and you have already discussed this in one of your points that knowing about the company is really important. So first thing people usually check when applying for a role is that about the company. They check about the company through their websites, videos, and everything. So employers usually appreciate candidates who take the time to research, and it shows that you're genuinely interested in the company and the role you're applying for, rather than just sending out generic applications. So could you tell us more about High Level as an organization?
Yeah, sure. So and I'll tell you about the organization and also why I really love it. Right, and I think it's also in this order, where I think the most important thing that I love about high level, and I also keep on telling people, is that we're bootstrapped and profitable and really fast growing, more than 100% every year. So, and I think that at least for me means a lot, where I always had this thing when I was joining. This always will be, have been, and will be in a part of if I am giving an interview somewhere, that how is the company's business doing? Because and some people ask me, like, how have you been able to grow in, let's say, 4 years to a director of engineering at a company from a team lead type of role? And there's again serendipity at play here. There is it has all to do with the opportunity that was there. I mean, I also worked really hard to grab that opportunity and grow along with the organization. But then if the opportunity wasn't there, even if I worked hard, I would not have gotten to where I am. So I think, and the opportunity is going to be at places that are successful as a company, as a business, and people love them. And I feel that is one of the core things that I look for in a company before joining them, right? So that's one. On the second one, the scale. Uh, on the customer side, we serve 70,000 marketing agencies, and we serve over 500,000 small and medium-sized businesses. So an agency can come in and they can basically manage multiple of their client accounts that are SMBs. So the second order customer is an SMB, and there are more than 500,000 of them. And in engineering, again, due to all of the scale of the agencies coming in, the engineering scale is massive. More than 30 billion API hits a month, more than 120 billion events in our PubSub queues a month, and more than 200 terabytes of data in our application databases. And we use more than 5 application databases for various different purposes. But yeah, that's how the scale of engineering looks like. The moving on to the next one. So remote first culture. That's another thing that I love. We don't so the DNA of the company is such that we grew when COVID hit, and just when the COVID was happening, also the company was going through a really solid phase of growth. So naturally, and that time we could not set up office, so we had to figure out how to work in a remote culture. And we were able to do that. And so that learning came from there. And now we're at a place where it comes naturally to us. We don't feel the need to go back to the place where, there is so we're fully remote. I don't know if that is fully remote as a term, but I've seen companies do, yeah, 2 days a week or something. We're all in different cities, and now it's not even at a place where you can get 600 people to like one city and an office. So it's not going to go there. And globally, we have 1,000 plus employees, and they again have there again is the same thing. Our head office is in Texas, and from the Texas office, I think there are 30 people that live in Texas, and most of them also don't come for most of the time. I visited when I think the team came to meet. Obviously, I think whenever anyone is coming, there's super amazing hospitality by the people who are local to that city, and you could find high levelers in almost any major city in India, even smaller cities now, and almost all major places in US as well.
That's great, having this remote first culture with these amazing stats. It's really great. So thank you so much for sharing about high level. Moving on, understanding a company's culture before applying to a role is crucial, as it ensures alignment between your values and the organization's value, which can lead to the greater job satisfaction and better collaboration. Because in the interviews, many people just focus more on the technical rounds and their skills, but the alignment with the culture is a must thing, I believe. So over to you, Karan.
Yeah, sure. So for defining the culture, I think the first and why we start. I think yesterday I was interviewing someone and he was asking me what makes high level so successful as a company, and I think that has everything to do with customer obsession. And customer obsession is not like everyone needs to work all day, like in weekends. And so by the way, we've never really asked. I have never really asked in my career to work for anyone in my team to work on a weekend, and that is the culture. But outside of that, customer obsession is prioritizing things that they care about, right? You're not building in an isolation where you have no clue what the people actually want. And we have a lot of tools to be able to do that. There is an ideas board where customers can go and upvote ideas, and you can actually visit it, ideas.gohighlevel.com, and there you will see that customers have upvoted, and some of the ideas are very highly upvoted, and all of those ideas will be in the processing state. Like, yeah, these ideas are upvoted, we are working on these, and then we'll move them to completed. But we don't dream of what the customer problem is. We actually talk to them, listen to them, and this is across the entire organization. And this is again something that I would not change at all. Wherever I'm working, I would not want to work at a place where only the product team talks to the customers. Here at high level, all the 1,000 employees that you have, everyone is supposed to be in the Facebook group with the where all our customers are. They're supposed to be in the common Slack channels, and they have a very direct communication with the customer without anyone in the middle, right? So that's a very extremely open culture, and there has been a lot of times where my team would release something, and the customers already know that this is us, and I would get a DM saying, "Hey guys, great job on this." And that is actually what we work for, right? So you don't work for releasing features. You work for impacting people's lives. That is the higher purpose in general, like at work and also in life. So that's about the customer obsession. The skateboard model, again, a framework for us to deliver value to people really fast. Like we build, instead of building a new product for 9 months in stealth, every product at high level, every new product at high level, every new large feature that gets built the same way. You build something in 1 month to 45 days. 45 days is actually the cap, and then you release it. And maybe on the first day it works, it only has enough features to work for 5% of the audience, but we still push it out, get it in the hands of everyone, take feedback from them, and the second month we spend building stuff that they actually want. because this we have all seen in our careers a lot. That, and this again goes to my startup days. The number one reason why Writen as a company, even when we were able to get a lot of users, but from the revenue perspective, Writen was not a huge success. Same thing. We kept on building everything that we like without actually ever talking to a real customer who would pay for the product. So instead of that, we roll out a product, a feature, talk to 20 people, then roll out another feature, then talk to the next 20 people, and so on, and gather all the feedback. I think that needs to be a very important part of the life cycle of software development. Sorry. Remote first, I think we've covered this. Team offsites. This is again a really cool one. So we have team offsites where you have such a large organization now, and it's growing really fast. I think out of the 1,000, more than 500 people have been hired in the last 1 year. So it's also growing really fast. So how do you keep everyone aligned, and how do you keep everyone on the same page, make sure the bonding is there? And team offsites help a lot over there, where the team, 3, 4 days, 5 days, whatever the structure allows, we get to a single place and then have fun, have parties, you know, and do all sorts of team bonding activities, do all sorts of sessions together. So that is again something that we love, and really is a core part of our culture, and that actually makes the remote work possible. We find a huge difference when we meet people for the first time in person after working with them for so long on Zoom. A lot of people, I think, for me, what they really get surprised is by my height. I think for everyone, they have this thing where, hey, Karan, you're really tall, and on Zoom you don't look like that. So we're really surprised to see you. And there's that kind of emotion, I think, with everyone, and there's a lot of things that you're able to learn about them. So it just makes the work a lot easier from a day-to-day collaboration perspective.
Great. Thanks for sharing these culture and values. So now that we know what the culture at high level looks like, we now come to the most interesting part, that is the hiring process. And I'm sure most of the people in our audience would be waiting to know what is the exact process at high level. So over to you, Karan. And anybody, if you guys have any questions, you can just type in the chat box.
Awesome. Um, the process looks like this. There is a recruiting team at high level, and the first I think the jobs get opened. They The hiring managers, which is me or one of my managers, we have to come up with a JD for every role, and that gets published on Lever. So Lever is the ATS that we use. You can again Google Lever, go high level. You will be able to find that page, and that is where all the applications, people can find all the jobs and directly apply to high level, and that is very actively monitored, and everyone at high level uses that as the source of truth for all recruiting purposes. And so either a referral happens or people directly apply from lever, or sometimes I think recruiting team also does outbound, where they reach out to people on LinkedIn and then ask them to apply. So either of those things, they eventually come in Lever, and that is where the first step starts, which is recruiter screening. One, you'll jump on a call, a 15-minute call, with one of our TA team, talent acquisition team, where they would try to talk to you about like what have you done, and they would try to see how good a fit you are from the job description perspective. So, and in that, they're trying to look for 2 or 3 things. One, they're trying to look for, do you have the skills that the JD requires or not? That's one. Second, they're trying to look for how good the communication skills are, how articulate you are, how easily you're able to explain stuff, and how good of a storytelling you're able to do about the career that you've spent. That's second. And third is the cultural fitment. Like, do you really possess the values that a high level uh, a high leveler basically should have, and we talked about what the cultural values are. And again, I feel this is a fairly standard process at a lot of companies. Uh, the next one is technical round one. You jump on a call with an whoever is there from the department, usually an IC. So if there's an engineering role, you'll jump on with a senior software engineer or a technical lead. If it's a product role, you'll jump on with a product manager or a senior product manager, and then you'll talk to them about uh, and primarily again with technical round one. So the hiring philosophy is that we try to focus a lot on what the person has already done, right? And that is how we try to, because any kind of interview for 1 hour cannot tell you everything about the person. And if I try to ask you JavaScript questions, it basically is not a very efficient way of analyzing people. The whole theory is, and the whole principle is that if the person is passionate about this space and about the SaaS industry, the B2B SaaS industry, they would have already spent some time and they would have already solved some problems that are interesting to us. And so we focus a lot on what have you done in your existing role, uh, right? So what are the deepest engineering problems that you've solved? What are the deepest product problems you've solved? What are the deepest design problems that you've solved? And for design, I saw a question where the metrics that you can mention for design. Again, for design, the customer support tickets, you can say, and this is actually what the KPI for the design team is internally. The customer support tickets in an area should go from, let's say, 5,000 new tickets every month to 3,000 tickets. That's when you know that the user experience is amazing and the customers are having a great time. NPS score is another one. You'll have to read about what an NPS score is, but it's basically a survey that you run from your customers. That could again be a really good metric for user experience design. And adoption, engagement, which is like this page was here and I improved the UX of this page. So first, the average time spent on this page was 3 minutes. After the UX changes that I did, the average time spent is 5 minutes across 50,000 customers. So that is again a great metric for UX. So in technical round one, we're looking for these things where if your resume catches the eye and it talks about metrics and it gives out numbers that this is the impact that I was able to drive, then we would want to go deeper onto what are the things that you did, how did you actually increase the uh, you know conversion from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, or how did you increase the engagement? If it's a technical thing and a database migration that you ran, what are the challenges that you faced during that time? So a lot of focus over there. Third is a take-home assignment, because we want people to take the assignment and then give it their best and then come back. And again, we don't believe a lot. And if people ask for a live coding round, we do it. So if you prefer that, you can do it. But in a live coding round, the environment isn't similar. On a day-to-day role, nobody's watching you write code, so you don't have that anxiety. You're given a problem. Nobody's like sitting on top of your head, and then you're able to solve a problem. And then once you're done, you let people know, hey, I'm done with this. That's how it works with the real life, and we try to replicate it the same way in the interview process. That's why there's and if you use ChatGPT, we're even happy. We want people who use AI to write code and do their work in 2 hours. Or if you use AI in any of the products, it's actually a plus and brownie points for that, because then we know when you come in, you'll again continue to use AI and you'll just be really efficient with getting things done. Then there's technical round two, which is going to be with an engineering manager or like a manager or hiring manager usually. So that's going to be there, and it's more of the same, where we again try to go in really deep about things that you've already done in the past, right? And I think past behavior from people is a really good demarcator for their future behavior. Sometimes it changes, but this strategy we found to be really efficient. It tells apart the people that are really passionate about the space, and we're able to reach out to them, and then we just find things. If in that round, whatever the person says, if you find that exciting, if I learn something new, let's say about a new technology, and he solved a problem, and it was a new approach to solve a problem. If at the end of the interview I end up learning something new, then it's definitely going to be a huge plus. And you can essentially, the interview doesn't need to only work from the perspective where the interviewer asks you questions, because uh, and with all of my interviews, I would, if I am giving interview, I would actually, I would direct the whole 60 minutes or whatever the round is to tell about what really are my strengths, because the interviewer doesn't know where to look. He will ask you, and maybe that's not where you've done the most. So we try to ask open-ended questions like, what is the most complex engineering project that you've done? Or what is the most impactful project that you've done at your current organization or your last organization? So we try to keep them open-ended, but then and so a person on the other side, like a candidate, could just take that really solid question, prepare talking points, and analyze before coming to the interview that here are the things that I have done really, really well, and this is why I should stand out. And just make sure you give those answers to something or the other. So if you've done something super cool, right? Like let's say before the interview, while you're preparing, figure out what are top five most impactful things that you've done in your career, right? And write them down, put them in your notes, and spend a lot of time thinking about it and articulating them well. Write them down. Now, whatever just try to give those answers. I would try to squeeze in all of those 5 points into some or the other question that the interviewer asks. I mean, if it's a very technical question, then you can't do it. But our technical rounds are very open-ended. So with us, it's really easy. So you can actually talk about the things that you have done really well, and that is what we're trying to hear. And in most cases, if the interviewer finds something really exciting, then and then you have a short chance of getting selected. And the fifth one is a cultural fitment round, which again talks about the qualities of the teammates, customer obsession, empathy towards everyone, remote friendliness, and dedication towards work. Because nobody's going to, there's no login log of hours. There's nobody counting the hours that you put in. Nobody asking you for PR updates every hour, right? So it's all done from your side. So we're really trying to see if the people are just going to be honest and transparent, and they're going to do their best. And that's how the culture operates remotely with a like basically with trust as a fundamental principle.
Great. Thank you so much for taking us through the entire hiring process at high level. And I'm sure the professionals looking to apply for jobs at high level would find this really helpful. So coming on to the next slide, which is open roles. So here we have the opportunities currently available on the website. So Karan, if you have anything to add over here.
Yeah. So I think these are the open roles related to my teams. There are many more. Uh, I have high level as an organization is hiring a lot of people across a lot of roles, and also really fast. So you can find the full list on Lever, but I can walk you through a couple of these. So on the SD, the full stack roles, uh, the way that you get ahead is by actually knowing about that industry and about that product and about like some competitors. So if you do some research before joining in there, that would be really great. And at SD3 level and beyond, we're also looking for system design in engineering. So that's another cool, another strong area of focus for the interviews. Engineering manager, I think we're looking for people who have already been there, done that. We're looking for people who've already managed team sizes of 15, 20, or more than that. We're not looking for people who want to start doing it. So I think if you're a tech lead, the right place for you to apply would be the lead engineer roles uh, for custom objects and so custom objects is again a really cool concept. So if you know about the concept, I think that helps a lot. We also have product management roles open in a few teams. Conversations is one of them. And then also we have opportunities in the QA domain, uh, SDETs, 2 and 3 in CRM.
Great. So for I can see many questions around particular job roles. So you guys can just visit their career page and you can find if there is any relevant opportunity for you guys. And thank you so much, Karan, for sharing all of these insights. And with this, we end the presentation over here. And let's pick up the questions in the chat box. So to start with, we have few questions, which is for someone with a strong technical background, what advice do you have for making a smooth transition into product management?
Uh, that's a pretty cool question. Uh, if you uh, if you want to switch to product management, I think one thing that helps a lot is you know being able to show outcomes, right? And again, metrics. If you've worked on, so we feel that I think everything is like applied learning, and we believe in applied learning a lot. And if you're able to work with anyone and get an outcome over there of, let's say, this is the product, here's what I did, and then I went, uh, I took this place from 10,000 to 50,000 customers. There can be no more stronger, compelling argument for you to be in product management. And where do you find this? There's a lot of startups. You can just find startup that is doing something cool, ping them, ask them, hey, I want to consult with you for free, right? I would like to work with you. I would like to understand the metrics, run down the customer stuff. So, I mean, in this case, I'm assuming and that your current organization is, doesn't have the opportunity for you to move into the product management role is why you're asking this. If that was there, I think you would have done that. So I'm assuming if that's where you're coming from. And so if that is not available, find a startup on LinkedIn that you want to consult with. Be ping and over there it's not rocket science. Again, ping 20 people, one will the success rate of this outbound type of thing is very low, but you need to accept it as a matter of fact, and you need to reach out to that many more people. If you reach to 20 founders, I'm pretty sure one will agree to do this, where you can work with them. You can be like, hey, I want to jump on a call with your customers. I want to start understanding what their problems are, and I want to basically build solutions to uh, implement those implement the solutions. Like, I want to come up with solutions. I want to suggest them, and then if the startup founder likes them, engineering team can implement, and then you can measure the growth that happened because of that feature getting implemented. I think it's really important to measure the impact of your work. Merely doing work is not the entire end-to-end story. Why you're doing it, who is getting impacted, how much of impact is there, and then if you're trying to measure these things after everything you do, then next time you can do them better, and you can do more and more and more impactful things in the same amount of time. So, I would want to do that. And if you have that, right, if you have that story to tell that I was able to work with this startup as a part-time consultant, I was able to grow it from 20,000 users to 50,000 users. I feel that's a very strong and compelling argument for you to be, for you to have a really strong chance for product management.
Great. So, with the continuation with the previous question, how do you measure the success of a product, and what metrics do you find most valuable in assessing its performance?
So, for every product, it's different. For some products that are revenue making in and of themselves, we have revenue as a KPI. The other products have adoption as a KPI. So let's say HighLevel has 500,000 businesses. The metric is how many of those active accounts use the specific product, because there's 30 products. So 2% of them, 5% of them, 20% of them, or so on, right? So let's say 2% of 500,000 will be 10,000 accounts. So your success of the product will be that now in the next 4 months you need to take this 10,000 number to 40,000 within the high level ecosystem itself. And if the customers are getting, using the product that you're building more, then they're sticking around longer with high level. So it helps everyone with churn. So that is tied into the overall revenue of the company.
Great. So, we have another question, which is because you guys are working remotely, what tools or technologies have been instrumental in facilitating remote collaboration and project management at high level?
Yeah, so we've tried a bunch of things over time. The constants have been Slack. Slack is the home to all of our communication, and it's a great product. Uh, Zoom, I think, is another great product and something that we heavily use and like. ClickUp these days for project management. Uh, so we're able to do the project management over there really well. GitHub for code, but I think that's really common. Miro for UX and wireframing, Figma for UI and designing. I think those are the most common ones.
Great. So, as you have already mentioned the open roles and the process at high level, what opportunities do we have for freshers? Like, if any fresher wants to join an organization or at high level, is there any scope of it, or how they can show themselves fit for any opportunity?
Yeah. So I think that's another really great question. So at high level, we have this concept where we do not hire freshers. And but there's a catch to it, right? What do we really consider as a fresher? Let's say when I joined high level, I did not have 2 years of experience, right? In terms of like a real job where I was working for someone else and getting paid. But in terms of actually doing the role, I had way more. I had more than 4 years of experience because I started in second year and all I did was just build a website, keep on adding more features, perfect the engineering really, really well, understand end to end of. So if you're an engineer, then I can tell you something. So it was the MERN stack application, Mongo Express React Node. I hosted it on DigitalOcean. I ran the databases, configured the replication, configured secure backups, configured the firewall rules. For the backend applications, I ran them in production. So, and there you will need Nginx, you will need PM2, and then for logging infrastructure, you need ELK stack, Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. So I learned and deployed that. For machine learning, you need Python, and then you need a recommendation system because it tells you like when you're reading a blog, it tells you like the other blogs that you would be really interested in reading. So for that, we implemented the recommendation engine. So it was a holistic end-to-end type of thing. And actually, it was even better than working for another company because there you would be a backend engineer, so you would know how Node.js works and you would write APIs, but you have no clue of how to deploy this on production, how to SSH into a server, and then so on. So from if so, I mean, we say we don't hire freshers, but we also don't consider these people freshers who really worked at a very good scale just because of passion. And we often find these people even better than the people like who actually have like a job type work, work experience.
Great. So we have another question, which is, what is the scope of QA test engineers nowadays?
So QA test engineer, so for I think till 18 months back, so before that they used to entirely do manual testing, but since then they started to work on automation, and now a decent portion of our entire infrastructure is automated. It's not at 100%, but that is what primarily everyone does. They contribute more to automation. For the areas that are not automated, this continues still sometimes do manual testing. But the aim is to basically get to a place where everything is automated and it is launched at the same time dev launches new features, the same time automated test cases also are launched. And the technology stack over there is mostly Playwright. So it's mostly JavaScript.
Okay, so we have another question, which is, could you please let me know if your company follows agile methodologies or any other? In any case, what's your opinion on this?
So the company follows a, I think, modified version of Agile, and also we give a tremendous amount of freedom to all the teams because every problem is different, every situation is different, and one solution does not fit every problem size, right? So if you enforce it on an organizational level that hey, we want all teams to uh, follow the agile methodology, then you're actually confining them, and you're adding a lot of overhead to them for following a certain process that doesn't fit the problem. So we tell them that this is what we believe, and then we let the teams run whatever process works for them. We actually care more about the outcome and us getting there, and less about how exactly we got there, and about how we give a lot of freedom to the teams. But if there are some challenges, if some teams are not able to uh, get something done, that is where we jump on and tell them about, hey, there are these tools to use, there are these options that you have, you can do these things, and then they can go and try it out, and if it works for them, they use those. If it doesn't, then they drop that and then again continue to move ahead.
Great. So we have another question. If someone has experience in two or more different fields, should he list all those experience for each and every job he's applying for?
So it depends on what the situation is. If the job that you're applying uh, for example, is product, and you have experience in product, and that is decent enough, you have enough items to talk about on the product management space. In that case, I would skip the other stuff. But in case you're really early into your product journey and you've just recently switched from dev and you don't have enough items, then you would want to, because then the resume should not be empty, because then the other person would not have anything to look at. So in that case, I would highlight the engineering achievements as well. But in both the cases, I would keep the engineering ones to minimum, not more than 5, 6 lines, or like 1/4 of a page.
Okay. So, as you guys are working remotely and we have two candidates, one who has prior experience working remotely, another one who does not have that remote working experience. So, do you guys are a bit biased on this remote working people, or it's like neutral thing?
No, not really. I think most people join us, and I think this we use it to our advantage. A lot of people join us, and we ask them, "Hey, why are you switching?" And they're like, my current company is asking me to move to Bangalore or Hyderabad, and I don't want to go there." And we use it like to our advantage. That's amazing thing for us because we get great people who would anyway otherwise not switch, if not for those companies being very fixated. Uh, so I think, but a lot of people join us from office type of culture, and after joining us, they move to their hometowns and everything. So there we don't have any bias towards anything.
Great. So we have another question, which is, um, to build and maintain strong relationship with clients, mm, do you have any mantra like for this and how we can do it and it's like a good relationship with the clients?
Yeah, I think the mantra is the same for all relationships in life. Listen to the other person, right? Listen more and speak less. That's basically the fundamental philosophy in all relationships. And a lot of places you would disagree with them is where stuff happens, right? But if you just listen to them, hear them out, and I think even if you disagree them after that, that goes in really well because they know that the effort and of attention has been paid. So you took that effort, you listen them out, and they feel heard, and then you give them the reason, hey, why I can't do this. And yeah, outside of that, like we don't have culture where we fly down to people, we need to play golf with you to sell you something. That's not what it is. The product itself is so good that people want to buy it. and they have some challenges with it, and we're very, very keen listeners for those kind of things.
Great. So we have a question somebody has DM'd me, which is what, according to you, is the best way to apply for a particular job? As applying directly on the website has almost no chance of getting selected.
That is not true. We see a lot of people that are directly applying, and actually in Lever, it goes through the same pipeline. So it says very small referred onto the people who are referred, and most people do not pay much attention to it. And anyway, the organization is so large, so internally, even if you're getting referred from someone who's in some other team, the chances of me knowing that person, or I mean, I have visibility across a lot of teams, but if you're getting referred from someone, the chances of them knowing the person who was actually taking the interview are very low. So, having said that, uh, uh, so one is applying directly, and the chances are not very low. I think if the resume is good, then there's all the chance. I mean, that's really going to be there. But outside of that, obviously, better than that is you reach out to the person from the same team. You figure out how the team structure is and which team is hiring, and you reach out to people from the exact same team. And that is where people would be able to refer you, and those referrals count. And that is where, it'll make a difference.
Okay, thank you. Let's pick the last question for today. Um, what are the metrics for experienced in software development field, which we should mention?
Metrics for software developers make sense. Latency is a good one. I reduce the latency, and I can actually give you stuff from my resume itself. Refactoring Elasticsearch and this was in my resume, I think 4 years ago. So as a SD3, I think SD4, these kind of things are good. Refactoring Elasticsearch to reduce the latency from 250 seconds to 500 milliseconds, and saving $1 million in annual cloud cost. This was one item. Writing a web scraper to scrape 400 million websites and storing the data. Sorry, it was not 400 million. I think it was 4 million. My bad. Writing a scraper to scrape 4 million websites and saving the data in MongoDB self-hosted. And more, I think the front-end ones we already talked about. I think some more back-end ones, refactoring MongoDB to configure shards from 5 to 20, handling a cluster of 20 terabytes uh, with 20 indexes and 10,000 read operations per minute. So something like that.
Okay, I think we have one more question which we should pick. Which is the best company to apply in, project-based or product-based or any? Please suggest to choose a company.
Product-based, I feel product-based is better because you have, uh, you know, the opportunity of creating larger impact, because usually you're building projects not for one client, but like for, in our case, 70,000 customers, and a really large number of people. And that is how I would judge it. If I'm able to create a lot of impact, is where I would go. So for me, it's product, but that depends on what you are looking for.
Great. With this, let's end this session. And thank you so much, Karan. Your insights have been invaluable, and we have to express our sincere gratitude for generously sharing and your time to contribute to the growth of our community. We truly appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Divya, for having me here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and for the joiners, we have some upcoming steps to participate in future insightful session. You can just register on Uplers, and we'll be sharing these recordings and other things on social media and on WhatsApp group. You can join our Discord community. I think the link is shared in the chat box. So stay tuned for updates, and we eagerly anticipate hosting more sessions and reconnecting with you all. Thank you so much.